Hello, welcome to the Culture Cave. We're here to talk about Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. Not to be confused with Rise of the Robots, the classic fighting game from the 90s. Anthony, I'm going to throw some names at you. We'll see if you recognise any of these. It's not going to reflect poorly on you if you don't, because no one knows any of the people involved in this movie, okay? So, Jonathan Mostow.
Yeah. Know him very well.
Exactly. When I was looking at the details of this movie, I was like, who's that? No idea. He's in the driver's seat this time. He did that U571 movie that John Bon Jovi was in. That was his claim to fame. Prior to this, a bit of a step down from James Cameron, one of the greatest action directors of all time. It has to be said. Brad Friedel or Brad Fidel.
He's back.
He's gone. They got rid of him. It's fucking Marco Beltram who did the music. To be fair, Marco Beltram has done the music for loads of stuff, but he's doing the score for this. He's taken Brad Fiedel's classic theme and, worked it into his own score. Aside from that, Claire Danes. The only thing I could say I've seen Claire Danes in is Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet. That's literally the only movie I can think of.
Isn't Claire Danes in, Homeland, which everyone was going mad about?
Yeah, she is in Homeland. Yeah, she is. I never watched Homeland, to be honest.
No, neither did I. Damian Lewis disturbs me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just the eyes. They're too piercing.
That's major Dick Winters from Band of Brothers. You show fucking respect.
To be honest with you, he's great in that. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. I'm sorry, Damien. I was looking for a cheap joke, and I done you dirty. I done you dirty, Damien.
I promised in the first episode, so if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it, so I have to do it now. I promised in the first episode that I'd planted a little seed that we were going to talk about in this episode.
Growing.
And that is, in the first movie, the T-800 goes around killing Sarah Connors because it doesn't know what Sarah Connor looks like. It just has a name and a city, which is LA, because all records have been destroyed. Yet, in this movie, the TX is able to taste someone's blood and find out who they are.
Yeah, I know exactly I know what you're saying. Okay, but the thing is, Konrad, what you're missing, I think the fact that the war was delayed by however many years actually means that the technology, when it eventually does come about, is that much more advanced.
Oh, okay. Are you suggesting that some databases survive the war now because it's been delayed?
I have no idea what I'm suggesting. I'm just suggesting that somehow there is technology that exists which allows this Terminator to do this. Maybe they literally can sense the DNA of everyone in the world. I don't know.
Yeah, they just look at someone. It's like the Matrix. They look at them and they just see DNA code and they're like, well, that's a I can't remember her name. Catherine Brewster, rather, yeah. I can barely remember the names of anyone in this movie. I remember everyone from those first two movies, and this I'm like, who the fuck is Kate Brewster again? It's so unmemorable. I will also say as well, we'll go through the plot in a second just to sort of summarize, and I think we're going to disagree on this because I've got a sneaking suspicion that you hold some of these movies in high regard, but this is the beginning of Arnie's descent into complete and utter shit movies that basically saw him semi-retire from acting for a bit, because you had Batman and Robin, then you had End of Days, then you had The Sixth Day, then you had Collateral Damage, and then you had this, and believe me when I say those are all god-awful movies. How do you feel about them?
I agree with you for the most part. I will say, I haven't seen The Sixth Day in a long time.
Yeah, I think this is the one I thought.
That's the one I'm going to go to bat for here. Because reveal, Konrad, the reveal of the dots in the eye socket, you can't beat it. And the thing is, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a strange choice for that role. Yes, the film might have been better without him, but it was still good.
Okay, plot. Two Terminators again this time. Man and woman this time, to really shake it up. One of them's a sexy lady. The other one is an older Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, I don't understand why the skin of the T-800 was updated to be older. It just was. We just have to accept that within the internal logic of Terminator.
I mean, he looks good. He does.
He does.
Starting to get a little bit of the Ric Flair hips going on.
Yeah, he's looking a bit leathery. His skin, there's only so much tanning bed a skin can take before it starts to look this way. But basically, the premise of this movie is that we know the war is still going to happen because the Terminator has come back. And this one is targeting John Connor.
Can't find John Connor, so all of his, what do they call him? His lieutenants?
Yeah, his lieutenants. And also Kate it's interested in Kate Brewster. Now, we might as well talk about him here. Nick Stahl, better or worse than Edward Furlong as a John Connor?
Worse, of course, because I love Terminator 2 John Connor. You know I do. But apparently Furlong was going to be in this.
Yeah.
He got the job, and then he went out and celebrated and took a lot of drugs, and then got dropped from the job.
Yeah, Edward Furlong was knee-deep in a lot of addictions when this got made. So, he didn't get the part. Nick Stahl, the only thing I really remember him from, apart from this, is playing a horrific yellow man in Sin City. And I just don't like him as an actor, certainly not as like a leading man. He's just very whiny. He looks like he's about to cry in every scene he's in. They do develop, I'll give the screenplay credit for this, that they do develop a theme that John Connor is like, I don't want this destiny, you know, I don't want to be the one to save mankind, and like he feels guilty that it's him. I kind of get it, but his performance is so kind of whiny that by about half an hour into this movie I'm like, I'll just fucking, you know, just man up.
Yeah, not that we use the term man up.
Yeah, you know.
Man as in human up, mate.
Yeah.
Whenever I get like the recasting of like an older, you know, like a version of a character from before, I always like try and think who would be the better version of them. And I don't know what it says about me, but a lot of the time when I have these thoughts, I always come down to Emil Hirsch. Like he's always the one I think he should have been it. Like I really think that we've missed a trick not having like a film where Leonardo DiCaprio and Emil Hirsch were brothers. You know what I mean?
Oh, imagine. They're basically they both have those like floppy curtain hairstyles.
I would have absolutely loved it. Imagine Emil Hirsch right out of T3 into The Girl Next Door. It would have been brilliant.
What a different landscape that would have been. Okay, so this movie, they really go hard on the effects for a lot of the action here, and it just looks cheap a lot of the time. And I feel like the violence as the TX goes around killing people is so toothless. There's like very little gore. The one cool kill in this movie comes about 2/3 of the way through it, when after she's killed Kate's boyfriend, she like disguises him in the back of a cop car, and she sticks his hand through a cop's chest.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's just before the cemetery sequence. That's kind of cool, but the rest of this movie, it just looks very cheap. I don't know if you got this sense, but there's a bunch of like really cartoony bits in it. Like there's a moment where someone smacks her head with a fire extinguisher, and it like spins all the way round like it's a cartoon. I feel like the people who made this movie took the wrong lessons from Terminator 2. Like they were watching it and they were looking at like Arnie smiling and standing on one leg and like the Edward Furlong cool sessions, and were like, that's what we need.
I agree with you. I think that happens a lot, actually, when people remake stuff. Because this actually, even though it's like a sequel, I think this is like one of the first remake sequels, if you know what I mean. Like the first one where they come back for a sequel after many years. Like I know this was like 12 years, so it's not a huge amount.
I don't think you're wrong. You have to remember, 12 years doesn't seem like that much in retrospect, but the people who were, you know, like 14 or whatever when Terminator 2 came out were you know, almost into their 30s at this point. Like that's the demographic you're aiming for with these nostalgia sequels, and I think it absolutely worked.
Yeah, just the right age for expanding breasts.
Yeah. Something for the dads.
Yeah, something for the dads, yeah. But yeah, like this film is, you know, a steaming pile of crap. I'm going to be honest with you and quite harsh here, but I don't think this film adds anything of note to the series.
Yeah, I mean, like from the moment that Arnie steps out of the bar in the kind of pastiche of the opening to Terminator 2.
Strip club this time, by the way.
Well, yeah, so it's like a strip club, and he gets everything from like a gigolo stripper man, like who's wearing like a leather daddy outfit, and then he puts on like the sort of Elton John style sunglasses, and it's like, oh fuck, is this going to be the kind of movie that we're watching?
Well, this is that type of movie, and it's also the type of movie where a woman gets over the death of her fiance in about 20 minutes flat.
Oh, barely even mentioned. Like that character, I don't understand why he was in this movie. Like, just get rid of that character. It doesn't. He adds nothing to this.
Yeah, like he literally added nothing. They could have just had her like remember him from school as someone she didn't like, and have her eventually come around to him that way. It doesn't have to be that she gets over her husband or her fiance dying in a day. That's
literally the only thing that her fiance adds to the story is after he's been killed by the TX, Kate is in the cemetery and the TX disguised as him is walking towards her, and it has the drop on her, And you would think, okay, this is a creature that can transform itself into liquid metal. Just go up to her, hug her, turn your arm into a big blade, shove it through her chest. Job's a good one.
Yep.
Kate Brewster's dead. Mission accomplished. We all have cocktails in the future. But instead, when it's still like 30 feet away from her, it turns its arm into its shitty laser gun thing, shoots at her, misses, and then just gets riddled with bullets by the T-850 who's walking around with a load of guns. Like, that's the only thing that the fiancé as a character contributes, is not even allowing like the TX to do something that would make sense for it to do. Like, it's just such a throwaway character. It's so dumb, and this entire movie is incredibly badly written. I will say, I don't want to like completely dunk on it, so I will say there's two things that are good in this movie. One is the champion truck chase, which is our resident truck chase in the Terminator movie. They watched Terminator 2, and then for this one they said, what's better than an action sequence with one truck? Two trucks. And so they have like a fire truck chasing a slightly smaller truck. That all looks like it's practical. It looks incredibly expensive. It's still got dumb bits of comedy in it. When the fire truck explodes, and I've never found a good... I don't know if you spotted this or not, but this is at 37 minutes and 8 seconds in. And it happens twice in this movie. There's a massive explosion as the fire truck is encased in fire. And there's just a sound of like a jaguar roaring as it explodes for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why it happens. And it happens twice. Like, it happens again. What's the other time code for it? 1:33:28. Check this on your recordings at home, folks. There's a helicopter that explodes, and there's another jaguar noise. Like, it's when the helicopter comes in through the bunker entrance right at the end of the movie.
What?
There's like a wildcat noise, and I don't
believe you. I don't believe you.
It's there. The only thing I can think of is that someone heard that the T-Rex's roar in Jurassic Park took the roar of a lion and then added a bunch of stuff on top of it, and they like completely fucked up the sound levels when they were producing the sample, and the director didn't know any better, so what they essentially got was just a jaguar roaring, and they're like, all right, okay, I guess we'll put that in the explosion.
What the hell? That is so stupid.
And like, this movie is full of shit like that, just things that are inexplicable and don't add anything to the viewing experience.
Well, it's like this, right? Okay, when she stole the cop's gun, right?
Yeah.
Expends all the bullets in that gun killing people, and then we find out like literally 10 minutes later that she has an arm that can turn into a gun.
Yeah, she has a gun arm. I don't know why she needs a gun.
Yeah, why did she steal his handgun?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, like moments like that are littered throughout this. Do you remember the moment where they're like stealing from a gas station like supermarket and the T-850 does the talk to the hand thing?
Oh yeah.
I think I lost about 6 months of my life to that joke, because it was just like, I can't with this needless infatuation with trying to be funny all the time.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting, because like the T-850 is like it's literally a different Terminator, obviously.
Yeah. It's not the same one.
Just like in the first two movies, T1 and T2, they were different Terminators.
Yeah.
This one's even a different model number.
Yeah.
So can you tell me what the hell this filmmaker's doing, making the first thing he does when he goes to the stripping thing and he gets in a car, he opens up the sun visor and finds the keys, like he remembered what John Connor told him to do it from the second one.
I'll tell you what they've done here. Do you remember between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, where they were like, we killed Thanos, or we killed the Thanos who was the bad guy in the first one of these movies. Now we need to very quickly make this new Thanos that Thanos, because we fucked up, and like, we need to get him to the point where he's that powerful. And that's what they've done here. They're like, we killed the Terminator who knows all of this at the end of Terminator 2.
Yeah,
so we need to come up with some kind of plot device that's like, this is why he knows all of this stuff too, despite despite being a completely different character.
Different physical machine, but also different model of Terminator.
Yeah, no similarities.
He still remembers what John taught him. What?
When the T-800 died in Terminator 2, he like sent a message to the future that said, by the way, lads, here's where they keep their keys, here's how to tell someone to fuck off, and here's how to smile. Those are the three things he sent back to the future. And that was
didn't tell him how to say hasta la vista, baby, because that didn't come back.
No, they never say it. Okay, so the other bit of this that I do like, that I just wanted to address very quickly, is that Sarah Connor is just dead in this movie.
Leukemia.
It's just like, yeah, she got leukemia, she died. What actually happened was Linda Hamilton said, I'm not coming back for this. And and they had to find a way around that. So Sarah Connor is just dead in this, and her coffin is full of guns, which is quite fun as an action sequence. Like the Terminator walking around with a coffin on one shoulder and a fucking like machine gun in the other hand. Yeah. Again, just recklessly shooting cop cars.
But if she, like, this is the thing, they had the reveal that they had guns in her coffin, and I thought the reveal was going to be she's not dead. The reveal is she was cremated.
Yeah. Did the pallbearers not notice that her coffin weighed like a ton? Like, they're all like, Jesus Christ, how much did she weigh? Like, this thing's, and it's like, it sounds like it's full of metal. Why does it sound like that?
Another thing which I didn't like was that when she was running up to the plane at the end, right?
Yeah.
Running up, she just happened to say, "There's my dad's plane. I used to train in that." And running up to...
You can literally like almost see the screenwriter hastily like, fuck, we haven't established that she's a pilot, guys. How do we not think of this? Like just writing it down as the scene is being shot. Just like, say your dad taught you how to fly. Like, it's...
I thought that was so stupid.
Yeah, we've got to get all of this in. We've got to establish it. That entire Skynet sequence where they're like, we got to turn Skynet on to protect us from the fucking Terminator or from the virus. And it turns out that like Skynet decides that it just needs to eradicate humanity. All of that's awful. The massive robots that for some reason are activated that look like they are literally out of Robot Wars. They're like, this isn't practical. Yeah. Like, how does that thing get into a building? You know, like what? Like it's enormous. Like if you're gonna kill humans, you need to be able to fit into the spaces that humans inhabit. Like it's no good if you're like 12 feet tall and 7 feet wide.
Also, they're just like slowly wandering around these like weird, pointless Dalek style things. It's like wandering around in Skynet. Also, at the end, whenever they finally, obviously, the rug's pulled out from under us.
Yeah, it was always going to happen. John and Kate needed to be saved.
Yeah, you know, it was always going to happen. There's a few great moments. First of all, John just takes the lead. You know, there's two of them there. They say, "Who's in charge there?" And he's like, "I am." And she looks at him very lovingly. I don't really know why she was okay with him just being like, "I'm the boss now." That was a bit strange. As well as that, I thought it was quite strange the moment where John was really annoyed that they'd got locked in there, and he wanted to actually stop the war. And then Kate just looked at him and says, "Just let it go."
Yeah, perfect.
You know, maybe we should just let it go.
Just let it go. Just let the eradication of the human race go, John. All right, fucking move on. All right, change the record.
Very strange.
The thing I love about that ending as well is that rather than just let the door shut on both of them, crushing them and killing both of them, it has to do like the overload nuke sequence. It doesn't make any sense why that's so unsafe for the people in the bunker. But
I suppose that the TX was very powerful. Let's be honest. Like, so
that's true.
Popping like a little nuclear whatever that is in its mouth and just blowing it up. Fair enough. But the time travel, Konrad. The reason why I don't like it, right, is first of all, they broke the cycle in a way to speak. They broke the paradox in order to stop at the end of T2, stop the war happening. I actually didn't mind that. I thought it worked well with the story. Retcon that. James Cameron's happy enough for them just to rip apart his dreams and hopes here. Literal dreams, actually, because that's where it came from. Isn't it?
Yeah.
They say, you know what? We're going to have it actually that Judgment Day is inevitable. And all of a sudden, Miles Dyson isn't who was going to lead to the Judgment Day. It was actually Brewster. And it was Brewster the whole time. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm usually the type of person who wants to know the nitty-gritty details of everything. I didn't rewind when Arnie was talking about Brewster, because I was like, you know what? I don't give a shit. I don't care why we're supposed to think Brewster was the most important one. It's all nonsense. And so the idea is now that no matter what you do, that Judgment Day is just going to get delayed and delayed and delayed. I personally do not like the style of time travel where they just like delay like they say it's inevitable, it's going to happen, and therefore it's like, you know, like you were arguing that the skateboard in Back to the Future was always going to be invented. I'm saying it wasn't. All right, I don't like that. Yeah. I don't like that it's inevitable that the skateboard's invented, and I don't like that it's inevitable Judgment Day happens. I think it's a whole load of bollocks.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that in this case. It doesn't make that much sense, but it also cheapens everything that's come before it. You know, if we accept this as canon, then it's like, well, nothing they did in those first two movies, like, really well, not nothing, but a lot of what they did in those first two movies doesn't really matter. It's like the classic example is like Alien 3, when Newt and Corporal Hicks die off camera at the beginning of that movie, basically nullifying the whole ending of Aliens, and that pissed so many people off, because it's like, it doesn't make me feel better about Aliens, it just makes me feel worse about Alien 3. And that's what they've done here as well.
Once you made the decision, James Cameron made the decision to have no war, retconning that just to get more money and more films, creatively I can't agree with it.
Or do like a period movie, like the way I would have done it, I hate to backseat right, but be like, oh, they actually sent another Terminator back in time in 1984.
Yeah, like have Arnie sneaking by the side of a stage while the other Arnie is singing Johnny B. Good or something.
Oh, and there you go. They should have Back to the Future it. That would have been great. Oh, fucking hell. Okay, right. Very quickly then. 2 bits of trivia for you. First one is kind of dumb, but I thought it was funny. There's 2 deleted scenes in this movie where it's revealed that after creating Skynet, the US Army modelled the T-800 and the T-850 for Terminators after a burly Southern soldier called Sergeant William Candy.
Oh, I've seen that deleted scene.
And in these scenes, Arnie was dubbed with a Southern accent. And it's so good. It's so good.
Well, good because it's so bad, yeah.
Yeah, it's awful. And then this is the big one. James Cameron, when he watched this movie initially, he did say he liked it, but after watching Terminator Salvation, he apparently went back and watched this movie again, and he changed his mind, and he said everything after T2 is rubbish and shouldn't be considered canon.
I would imagine that it's because he was Arnold Schwarzenegger's friend, and he's the one who actually said to him, just take the money, do the film. And so maybe he went to see it with Arnie and was like, yeah, mate.
Yeah, it's great.
Really, really good. Really good. Don't pummel me.
Great stuff. I'm going to change my phone number now.
You've not ruined my whole legacy there, mate. Thanks. You've done a great job.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Okay, and I think that's going to do it for us then. For Terminator 3, The Rise of the Machines, easily the worst, I would say, of those first 3 Terminator movies. But yes, like the show, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And we will see you on the next one of these, whenever that is.
Bye.